live. Nobody's joined yet. Make sure that you have no volume or you got your headset on. Yeah. This morning. Good morning. We got Tyler Goodro with us this morning. He is about to jump in and talk to you guys about coaching and life and baseball and all those things. So looks like he's almost here.
What's up?
There he is. What's up, Tyler?
Nada. I'm trying to do this on my computer, but
It doesn't.
hey, well,
It doesn't work like that, man.
no, I guess not.
Oh, trust me. Hey, real quick, before we get, I just want to say my 98-year-old grandmother lived life. She loved life. I loved her. She passed away last night.
Sorry to hear.
She enjoyed 98 plus years of life. And I want to say to everybody out there, if you have a grandma, give her a call, give her a hug. She loves you. Trust me. And you will make her day if you call her. And when you hang up the phone, I promise you, your day will be made. So get out there, hug your grandma, love her, and now let's talk about some baseball.
Oh man.
Well,
I'm sorry to hear that.
no. Thank you, Tyler. She's a fantastic woman. For all our women on there watching, she was a pioneer in the nursing industry, and she was an independent woman who probably set the stage for things women are doing today. Whether she knew it or not, whether they know it or not, she did. An awesome woman. Wanda, I love you, Grandma. Say hi to all the family up in heaven. So. Now let's jump right into this. Well, normally we start out with a little who you are, what you do, but man, what's on the shelf back there? What do we got?
So, oh my gosh, yeah, sitting in the office here. This is got a collection of gloves here, All-Star custom glove here. I can pull this down, right here. It's got my kids' names on it, which is nice. All-Star sent that one to me.
I love it.
The one over here is actually a very old model of All-Star. I actually found this. They didn't send it to me, but I mean, look at that. You can see the logo there.
Yeah, that's the old logo.
Yeah, it's old school, man.
Yeah.
Flashback Friday, I guess, right? Flashback Friday. And then this is Yadier Molino's last modeled glove that he had. And the cool thing about this glove, it's number 0 out of 144. It's kind of hard to see, but I can put it right there. So this is actually the floor model. And I got a story about that. Last gamer. I was a Rawlings guy, believe it or not, as embedded as I am with All-Star. I was a Rawlings guy. I used Rawlings for most of my career. And I think it was my last year my first year of Pro Ball, I used All-Star. My last year, I used All-Star. But I think I always had to have a backup, so I always had a Rawlings. And then just some extra gloves down here, hats, signed baseballs, bats, and it's kind of what we do. This is the man cave / hey, husband, you got to go down to the basement and get out of my hair. So
Right.
Very
nice. Well, hey, appreciate you coming on this morning, sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do. We are going to try to do this in 10 minutes, just to be respectful of your time. But if you're talking and it's flowing, then we'll just let it go. So,
right on.
All right, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and what you're doing currently.
Yeah. So, Tyler Goodro, Omaha, Nebraska, born and raised. Mecca College Baseball, of course, is here with the CWS. Out of high school, I went to the University of Arkansas. Found out pretty fast how just incredibly hard the SEC is. transferred out of there, went to a JUCO in Kansas, junior college called Butler Community College, went to a JUCO World Series, had a really good team. After that, had some looks, settled on University of Cincinnati, played there,
Go,
graduated from there. What's that? The
go,
Bearcats,
go
yeah.
Bearcats.
Go Bearcats. No, I enjoyed it there. After I was done with Cincinnati, of course, like everybody's dream is to play at the highest level you can. And unfortunately, I didn't play a Major League Baseball, but I played some professional baseball, was an undrafted free agent with the Dodgers, spent some time just in spring training with the Dodgers as a favor to a friend. I was basically a punching bag bullpen catcher is what I called myself. Got the opportunity after that and played in Texas for a couple independent pro teams. There was a team in San Angelo, Amarillo, played in Sioux City, Iowa, which is not far away from Omaha, Joliet, Illinois. And then I rounded out my career in Lincoln, Nebraska. It was about 45 minutes away, Lincoln Salt Dogs. Probably one of the better independent franchises to play for. The field was always in pristine. We shared the complex with the Nebraska Cornhuskers down there. And then, yeah, after that, well, in the meantime of that, I mean, you're working jobs, trying to make ends meet. Got engaged when I was playing to my wife, and I'm like, well, how do I afford an engagement ring? How do I do all this stuff? So you're doing lessons, right? You're doing baseball instruction, you're working camps and things like that. And then didn't really know it at the time, but started to build a brand. And I was really heavily focused on catching, obviously the catching transformation that we'll probably go into. I was teaching kids to catch differently than what I'm doing now.
Right.
And yeah, just kind of morphed into it, worked some corporate America jobs, hated that. I always tell people that my son has ADHD, like he has been diagnosed with it, and the doctors always say like it's like 78% that it's like a congenital thing. So I'm like, well, I know where he got it from
Yeah.
because that's me. Like I just can't sit still, which is why I became a catcher, and why I was so intrigued by it and so just focused on the position. But built a brand. Started out as just doing kind of some camps here and there as what we called field general catching boot camps, and it's morphed into a catching academy. Coached a little bit independent ball last summer with the Lincoln Salt Dogs, just try to get my feet wet into coaching itself, and then spent this past year as an assistant coach at the University of Nebraska Omaha Division I college baseball in the Summit League. And yeah, just again, just trying to get the word out about catching, try to use my social media platforms to just try to develop and reach as many people as possible.
Sure. Now, I am going to say, I went through and, did my diligence reading your bio, and there's one thing about your career you didn't mention, and I'm shocked.
Yeah.
So it looks like in 2015, you coached the 11U Majors USSSA State runner-up team.
I did.
No
Oh,
mention
yeah.
of that. No mention of
Well,
that.
yeah, it's interesting. So, no, it was, yeah, I tell kids this all the time, even you're not going to remember things like that. I mean, for those kids at that time in their lives, it was like runner up for the World Series. But yeah, no, that was fun. It was, what was good about that though, Tim, is, not starting at such a high level.
Sure.
It's, I think it's morphed me into the coach that I am. It's trying to be creative with things. And, I actually did a podcast last night with a friend of mine, and he's like, the one thing I love about you, Tyler, is that you try to just go off the cuff a little bit and be really, really creative and innovative with your drills. And I'm like, yeah, because you want people to be intrigued by it. And so I think for me, it was really good to kind of start in that arena,
Yeah.
and kind of morph to where I am right now. And one thing I should mention, and I forgot to do this when we jumped on here, but I'm wearing my thigh pros right there. So,
I mean, are they that comfortable, or did you just put them on for the interview?
No, believe it or not, I try to be as generous as you guys are, like yourself. Like you've been so generous to me, and I'm thankful for that. And All Star itself, and when I'm instructing, when I'm teaching, when I'm coaching, I always try to show people like, hey, like, or move around like a walking billboard, so to speak. So I'll wear them. And if I jump in a drill, man, I don't want to get my thighs blasted. You know how that is. I mean, I remember early on when you sent me, I think you sent me a pair, like one of your first
Yeah.
models, and I sent you a picture like right back. And I'm like, I wish I had these yesterday or something like that. And I showed you like that massive bruise on my thigh. And I mean, like at the time when it hit my thigh, it's like, oh, that was nothing. It was like a breaking ball, and it like just
Yep.
basically just scraped my leg. And after that, I'm telling you, it was the worst pain in the world. So like, hey, and I'm going to do a little marketing for you
All right.
here. Like, if you have not checked out Thigh Pro, Tim's, he's been just a true innovator with this. Like, I truly wish that this product was back around when I was playing and catching. And, again, and even early in my career of instructing, putting the gear back on and doing some bullpen catching and things like that. I wish it was around. So if you have not picked up your pair yet, thighpro.com,
Well,
right?
I appreciate that, Tyler, and
Of course.
that while it is not the focus of this, but I appreciate you cannonballing right into that and putting them on. That is awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. You're now coaching at one of the highest levels, if not the highest level of non-professional baseball, right?
Right.
You're coaching Division I baseball. Omaha does not have an easy schedule, right? Especially
Mm-hmm.
non-conference. You guys travel a lot because it's freezing cold in Nebraska in February and March.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys spend a lot of time on the road. Uh, excuse me. So, what is something you notice in freshmen that come in, right? Because you've been a freshman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You with that, like you said, the SEC baseball. What is one of the struggles that you see with kids coming in right out of the gate?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, and I'll attribute this to my career, is kind of knowing and understanding your role. I think if you hop right in, um, and you try to take charge, I think that comes off as a little bit rambunctious to do so. And I think sometimes it's to slow play, it's to listen, it's to learn, it's to ask questions, and it's not to. And again, I go back to the podcast that I had last night, but I told them, as like, one of the intangibles I always tell guys is like, be fearless. Be fearless, and that goes with, you know you're going to make
Yep.
mistakes. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and I think that's a lot of things that guys just truly forget about. I think they're looking in and saying, okay, I'm a Division I college baseball player right now. I can't make any mistakes. I can't fail, or else I'm going to be packed shipping, and that's not the case. I mean, um, a good friend of mine told me one time, he was coaching at the professional ranks, and I think this is so true in college baseball versus the professional ranks. The player themselves, they might have 7 years till their clock runs out. In college baseball, you know, it could be a year, but it could be 4 years, right? So you don't know the range. But again, I think it's being curious. It's, again, just you're understanding the fact that you will
Yep.
fail. And that's what I try to do with our guys. Like, we had a freshman catcher this past year. We threw him back there. I'm like, dude, sink or swim, and obviously we're gonna put some oars, every so often, and some inflatables, so you can make sure that you're treading
Yep.
some water. And we're not just gonna like throw you to sharks, but it's guiding them through that process. And I think what it helps with the athlete, it allows them to take the ownership, um, and I think that's what we want them to do. Like, beyond us just laying out a plan and saying, like, this is step 1 of the process to step 10 of the process. It's not the case. So allowing them, again, to take charge of their careers is, I think, extremely beneficial. But I think number 1 is just, dude, understand that, hey, you're going to make mistakes. Everybody makes
Yep.
mistakes. The highest level caliber all stars make mistakes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think one of the phrases I used to use is, you don't have to throw a Hail Mary every time, right?
Yep,
Three,
exactly.
4 yard gains is a first down, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
just kind of grind it out, right? Get those 3 or 4 yards at a time, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to hit that home run every time, right?
No doubt.
3 singles and you got to run on the board, right? I mean, it's a long game, and you are right. Just listen is
Mm-hmm.
probably really that's what I'm taking away from what you're saying.
Absolutely. I think that's and us as coaches too, like we need to listen to the player.
Yep.
The player needs to listen to the vet. The vet needs to listen to the younger guy. And I think that's what creates it. There's such an individualized sport, It's such an individualized sport. Everybody has different plans. They peak at different times. Um, but if we're not listening, we're not understanding, just emotionally where they're at. Maybe physically we can kind of see it, but they're all going to peak at different times. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I told this young man last year, our catcher. I mean, he was our opening day starting catcher. At one point in time, he was playing shortstop for us. Another day, he was playing second base and third base. So, he handled the pressure well. He knew, like I told him, I was like, dude, you're gonna fail, like, and be okay with it. But it's how you bounce back. And I mean, it's so cliche to say that. It's how you pick yourself up, but that's what it is.
That's true. Now, along the lines of coaching, again, you're coaching at the top, or you really are,
Hmm.
and you are an innovator when it comes to some of the drills you do, some of the methods that you teach, and I love the way that you're presenting the game. Let's talk about the little thing that people love or hate. It's the one knee down, right?
Yeah.
It's not brand new, right? I think
Hmm.
had the conversation. Tony Pena is the first one that comes to mind
Yeah.
for me growing up in the Pirates in the early '80s.
Yes.
Terry Steinbach in Oakland, and the list goes on and on, right? But
Right.
uh, why do you think it has gained popularity now, and what are the issues with using it?
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, we could go on and on about the list of the guys that did it in the past, right?
Yep.
Like I think about
Right.
Greg Olson with the
Oh,
Braves. He was on two
yeah.
knees when he was catching. I think why it's gained such popularity is because, at the highest level, I look at it this way: if I'm teaching kids, like what, if I go, Tim, you're 9 years old. Like let's say you hop in my shop, you're 9 years old. Hey, what's your goal, Tim? Oh, I want to catch in the big leagues. Okay, well, what are the big leaguers doing, right? I think number one is you got to look at that. Yeah, they have numbers. We have numbers in college. Like we have TrackMan. Um, we're tracking pitches. We're understanding how it's going. But I look at it from if we're our true player development individuals, like have a true player development system. What's going to make the athlete better, right? I know there's foundations that and principles that we all have to believe in, right? I always tell kids this: if I taught you how I caught back in just 2013 was my last year playing. 2013 was my last year playing, right? That's not too
Right.
far. I mean, it's it's 11 years ago, but it's not too far away. Um, if I taught you how I caught 10 years ago, you would laugh at me right now. You would laugh at me. And I mean, it's gained popularity other than the fact that guys, I'm 6'4". I can get underneath a low pitch. Guys that have bad hip mobility, I think can get underneath the low pitch better. I think it's been proven. I don't care what age you are. You're in a fixed balance position, but I think it's proven that we receive the ball better. We block the ball better. Okay, yeah, there's lateral restrictions, and I think that's a lot of the negativity that comes with it. But a lot of those egregious pitches that are thrown, they're probably not blocked out of a regular traditional setup. And um, but anyways, for me, I'm a big advocate for it. We took our freshman catcher who was no runners on base. He was in a traditional setup. I mean, we're talking about wider than the outside of both batters boxes. We're not talking about the catcher's box. We're talking about his legs were that wide. And I'm like, dude,
Sure.
you're such an insufficient position, and you're pushing the ball into the ground because that's where your balance is pulling you. Uh, so
Can't maintain,
again,
right? That's with your legs that far apart. It's tough to maintain that over a 2.5 hour game.
oh, absolutely. So I'll do this with guys too. I mean, I don't care what you sit in. I think there's a lot of things that uh, that can be said about a one knee setup, and a lot of things that can be said about a traditional setup. You do what exactly you need to
Yep.
do. I'm going to try to just help you. Like my goal is to be inquisitive and then understand your body. And I have an 8-year-old son, and he loves to catch. He loves to play shortstop. He loves to play outfield. I'm going to tell him this. All right, son, I want you to squat in that position, and I'm going to drop this. And it's going to be uh, I take like a small med ball, and I'll do this. It's kind of a test that we do with a lot of our catchers, and I get them curious because I want them not just to come back
Right.
and see me, but I get them, again, curious and, just optimistic about where they can go with who they are right now.